Sicilian defense, closed, traditional line, 3.Bb5 Nd4. Sudden a close game that was lost by a mistake. That game was pretty competitive. Both players had an amazing opening. Black found some nice moves in the middle game. Sharp games are frequently the result of starting with the king's pawn since it dominates the center and frees up the bishop and queen on the light squares. The c-pawn in the Sicilian defense controls the d4 square. The closed Sicilian tries for slower growth without a quick push to d4 and controls d5 with the knight. And c6 aids in maintaining control over the d4 and e5 squares. As soon as the bishop is ready, bb5 launches an attack on the c6 knight. And d4 places the knight on a center square and attacks the bishop on b5. This moves the bishop to a more active square, making it gain scope. The bishop is prepared to grow into a functional square. This offers to exchange pieces of equal value. This develops a knight from its starting square, activating it. Castling gets the king to a safer square, out of the center of the board, while also developing a rook. Castling kingside tends to be safer because the king is further from the center. The bishop will be better off as a result of this. This kicks an opposing bishop. This moves the bishop to safety. This threatens to kick a knight. Forcing the opponent to double their pawns helps create weaknesses. Takes back. This threatens to win a pawn. This develops a bishop off its starting square, getting it into the action. This stops the opponent from being able to win a pawn. It is the last book move. By growing a bishop from its initial square, this activates it. It is quite good. This misses a chance to stomp on a bishop. It is incorrect. Perfectly on point. It is ideal. This misses a chance to build a bishop outside of its starting square. It is incorrect. There was just one smart move to be made. This enables the adversary to kick the knight. It is incorrect. This is a missed chance to kick a knight. It is incorrect. This overlooks a better way to move a bishop to safety. It is incorrect. By growing a bishop from its initial square, this activates it. That's good. The rooks are linked by this, making it easier for them to work together in the future. It is ideal. This defends a piece that is being attacked but is not well defended. It is ideal. This misses a chance to improve a bishop's square and broaden its range. It is incorrect. This exchange is fair. It is ideal. Recaptures. It is ideal. This poses a threat to strike a knight. That's good. Although the game was almost evenly balanced, black now holds the advantage. It is incorrect. This misses a chance to grow a queen outside of its initial square. It is incorrect. What I would have advised is that. It is ideal. By growing a queen from its beginning square, this activates the queen. It is ideal. This provides an equal exchange of parts. It is ideal. It is a fair deal after all captures. It is ideal. Backs off. It is ideal. The king no longer has casting privileges. It is incorrect. Black was formerly in a better position, but today white is the victor. It is incorrect. This fails to take use of the chance to improve a bishop's square and broaden its range. It is incorrect. White was once in a worse situation, but they are currently down. It is incorrect. This is the only good move. It is a great move. This overlooks an opportunity to connect rooks. This permits the opponent to take an open file with the rook. It is an inaccuracy. A powerful play. It is quite good. This poses a threat to an open file and a rook. It is incorrect. As a result, the bishop may now control more squares because it is in a better position. It is quite good. This avoids the bishop's check. It is ideal. The best choice is this one. It is ideal. This suggests kicking a bishop. It is quite good. This makes it impossible for the adversary to kick a bishop. It is ideal. That is a logical response. It is quite good. That pawn was available for free. It is quite good. The rook is now on an open file, which helps control squares across the board. It is quite good. Among the best actions. It is quite good. This poses a fork piece threat. That's good. A rook enters the action after developing outside of its starting square as a result. It is quite good. While not a mistake, that is also not the wisest course of action. That's good. This requires an outpost, a square that is currently in play where a pawn cannot push the bishop off the board. It is ideal. The checking bishop is moved away in this move. It is ideal. A wise decision. It is quite good. A powerful play. It is quite good. That is a logical response. It is quite good. This makes winning a pawn a possibility. It is quite good. This avoids the knight's check. It is ideal. This deters an assault on a rook that is exposed. It is quite good. It is a fair deal after all captures. It is ideal. Recaptures. It is quite good. A pawn that was being attacked and had no defenses is now protected by this. It is ideal. Among the best actions. It is quite good. This requires an open file, a typical technique for rook activation. It is quite good. The pawn is now passed because it can no longer be opposed as it attempts to promote by other pieces. It is quite good. Very precise. It is best. So, the attacked pawn is protected. It is quite good. A wise decision. It is quite good. A pawn that was being attacked and had no defenses is now protected by this. It is quite good. This attacks a knight and gains a tempo when the knight retreats. It is quite good. It is a fair deal after all captures. It is ideal. This pins the other side's knight to the king, rendering it immobile. It is quite good. The knight is now sufficiently protected. It is ideal. This buys time by putting a knight in danger and getting it to flee. It is quite good. A powerful play. It is quite good. This avoids the knight's check. It is quite good. This defends the pawn that was attacked. It is ideal. The bishop is currently located at an outpost, a safe square within the opponent's domain. It is quite good. This makes winning a pawn a possibility. It is ideal. This moves away from the knight in shining armor. It is ideal. The pawn is now suitably protected. It is ideal. Therefore, a knight is attached to the king. It is quite good. This poses a fork piece threat. It is ideal. Thus, the attacked pawn is protected. This prevents the adversary from forking pieces. It is ideal. That is a logical response. It is quite good. Among the best actions. It is quite good. This requires an open file, a typical technique for rook activation. It is ideal. This moves the checking rook farther away. It is quite good. A solid choice. It is excellent. Sudden a close game that was lost by a mistake. That game was pretty competitive. Both players had an amazing opening. Black found some nice moves in the middle game. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. It is best. Sudden a close game that was lost by a mistake. That game was pretty competitive. Both players had an amazing opening. Black found some nice moves in the middle game.